We have made it to the final preseason game of the year, and even though this can be the slowest and most boring one, there are a lot of positional battles the Eagles still have going.
Still the cowboy, Mr. McLean. You Americans are all alike. But this time, John Wayne doesn't walk into the sunset with Grace Kelly.
Scary Cooper, asshole!
Oh, Diva! Oh, shit! Oh, shit! That was crazy!
Happy trails, Hans. Dallas still stinks. King Ding back here. We are about 24 hours from Eagles Jets, the final preseason game of the year, the one that stinks the most. But you know what? Even though it's the final preseason game, it's the most drawn out preseason game. There's a lot of positional battles to talk about. There's still a lot at stake for a lot of these Eagle players, and we're going to get to it in a minute. But first, there's a few things I have to say. The first thing is, tomorrow night, I will not be streaming the game. I'm not going to be streaming Eagles Jets. I have an event with my daughter at her school, beginning of the year, and I probably won't be home till early to mid second quarter, somewhere around there. So, it being the fourth preseason game, I'm figuring I'll just skip it, and the next game I do will be the real thing. It'll be Eagles, Redskins. It will be crazy. It will be intense, and it's going to be insane. So definitely be here for that. This will be the only Eagles game I do not stream all year, unless something happens that I can't help. But yeah, I'm not going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to skip it. I will put out a post-game video talking about what I saw, what I liked, what I didn't like from what I got to see. But yeah, definitely not going to be doing this stream tomorrow. Just wanted to let you guys all know that ahead of time. Now, the second thing I want to say is I want to give a huge thank you and shout out to my Cowboys family. They had me on. They did an NFC East preview video where they had different fans of different teams in the NFC East come in, talk about their team, and they invited me on. It was a lot of fun. Very nice people. Very good channel. I'll leave the link in the description to the video. Go check it out. Go sub them up. I had to let them know that the Eagles run the NFC East, and that they're stinking Dallas Satanic Cowboys. They got no chance versus our Eagles. I had to let them know that. But check it out for yourself. Sub them up. Huge shout out to them. Thank you for having me on. I really, really do appreciate it. Now, I am a whack job. Okay, we all know I'm a whack job. I have some weird thoughts. I have some weird ideas. I have weird conspiracies. I buy into all of it. I do. But the one thing about me is I listen to all sides of an argument. So, I was talking about how much I want Jadeveon Clowney, right? I want Jadeveon Clowney this much and all this stuff. I decided to go look for people who were against it, who don't want him. And I went and I listened to my man Adrian. Shout out Adrian from the Bitter Birds. I was listening to his concerns about getting Jadeveon Clowney. I listened to a few other people, and after hearing them, and after hearing everything that they had to say about Jadeveon Clowney and why it's a bad idea for the Eagles, I came to the conclusion that I don't care. I still want him. I want him even more now than ever. I want Jadeveon Clowney. And for you guys that haven't heard, Jadeveon Clowney is preparing to hold out games. If he doesn't get put into a situation or trade somewhere he wants to go, he's willing to hold out games. The Texans are going to trade this guy. They're going to trade him. Will Howie Roseman step up? That's the question. There's a lot of talk about 1 year rentals. We'll get him for 1 year. Let's just get him for 1 year. But you know what? I am working on a video right now. I started doing it today. I'm doing some research. And I'm going to come up with a way to show everybody that the Eagles can go certain routes that won't kill their team and make money and make room to sign him. So that's what I'm looking into. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'll have that video out, I don't know, in a few days. I still have to put my 53-man roster prediction probably on Friday. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to get it done. But I've been looking at the cap and looking at some things. And I think there are some ways that the Eagles can make room without losing valuable guys and sign him. And I'm going to show it. So look out for that in the next few days. But I do. I want Jadeveon Clowney. I want him bad. So tomorrow night, Eagles-Jets final preseason game, and I still think there's some positional battles going on. As far as my 53-man roster goes, I think it's pretty much set. Maybe one or two guys could win a job tomorrow if they really impress me. We'll have to see. So I'm not expecting like big surprises, but I do think there are some positional battles going on. The Eagles did make a few moves over the last 2 days. Now, the moves that they made were basically for guys that are going to be able to just come in, take snaps. Maybe the Eagles can get a quick look. Nothing drastic, nothing big to expect. Okay, so yesterday, the Eagles cut Trey Sullivan, and they signed safety Jason Thompson. I guess they're done seeing what they had to see out of Trey Sullivan. They bring this kid in, give him a quick look. He's going to just take a lot of reps. They also brought in Hayes Pullard and cut Asante Brown, the linebacker. Same situation. He's going to come in, just take a handful of reps. And then they put Charles Johnson, the wide receiver, they put him on IR, and they bring in this kid, Riley Mayfield, right tackle. Don't know much about any of these guys, okay? These guys are just pretty much to take reps in the final preseason game. Jordan Mailata's probably not going to play. He has a bad back or sore back, so I expect him to miss it. That's why they brought in the right tackle, and that's pretty much why those guys were brought in, at the last moment, just to get reps, to take snaps tomorrow night. That's pretty much it. Now, as far as tomorrow night's game goes, okay, we know the starters aren't going to play. We know most of the second string isn't going to play. By basically the end of the first half, any battle to make this spot is pretty much going to be over, most likely, okay? And what's going to interest me tomorrow is three positions, okay? The defensive end position, the running back position, and the wide receiver position, because I think those final spots are still open. There's still a battle. I pretty much have my 53-man roster set. I think it's pretty much set, but there are some interesting things that I want to see. Let's start with the defensive end position. Let's look at Deshaun Hall and Josh Sweat for that fourth and fifth defensive end spot. I think both those guys are going to make the team, but it's who's going to win the fourth defensive end spot. And I think Deshaun Hall, going into tomorrow night, is way ahead on points on Josh Sweat. I think he's been far better than Josh Sweat during this preseason. I think he's been one of the best guys in training camp and preseason. He's been fantastic, and Josh Sweat would have to have a monster game. God, it's hot in his house. Sorry, but he'd have to have a monster game to beat out Deshaun Hall as a fourth defensive end spot. As a fourth defensive end, I should say. But I think he wins the fifth defensive end spot, which means, what do they do with Sharif Miller? What are they going to do with Sharif Miller? Because I don't think they're cutting Sharif Miller. I don't think they took him where they took him, and they're just cutting him. So I expect during the game Sharif Miller to get itchy ass, come running off the field with, my ass itches, my ass itches. And then he goes on the IR. Something like stupid like that. Because I think they're going to stash him. They don't want to get rid of him. I mean, they could always trade Josh Sweat. But I don't think they're going to do that. So I think that Deshaun Hall is way ahead on points when it comes to that final defensive end position. So I'm going to be watching the battle there. This should probably be over by like the first quarter, okay? Because I don't know how much those guys will play after the first quarter. The other position that I'm very interested in is the final running back position, okay? Here's who I think are locks to make it running back wise. I think Jordan Howard, lock. Miles Sanders, lock. Darren Sproles, lock. Corey Clement, lock. Those are four locks. I think they keep one other running back, okay? I think they'll keep one more. Now, who's it going to be? It's going to be between Wendell Smallwood, Josh Adams, and Boston Scott. For me personally, I would put Boston Scott on the roster. However, I think Wendell Smallwood has been the most productive during preseason, and if you look at the games and the preseason games, I think Wendell Smallwood would have to win the spot. But me personally, because of Boston Scott's, just because of his speed and what he can do on special teams, I would have him make the roster. But it's going to be an open battle. It's going to be a very, very interesting battle between those three guys. I think Josh Adams is looking out. I think it's going to be hard for him. Maybe he gets cut and then brought back on the practice squad. Very possible. But I think it's really Wendell Smallwood, Boston Scott fighting for that last running back position, and then Josh Adams looking on the outside. But it's going to be between those three guys. It's a fascinating battle in my opinion. I'm pulling for Boston Scott. I like his speed. I don't think Donnell Pumphrey will make it, even though he's had a better preseason than I've ever seen. Maybe he comes back on the practice squad. But, yeah, I think between those three guys at the running back position, I'm going to be watching that closely. Now, the final really interesting spot for me is that final wide receiver spot. Who do we know that is going to make it? Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, Nelson Aguilar, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. They make this team. Well, I think the Eagles keep at least one more receiver. They could keep two. But, just for this conversation, let's assume that right now there's one wide receiver spot still open, okay? It's going to be between Mac Hollins, Marquand Michel, and Greg Ward Jr. And the way I see it, I would have Marquand Michel in the lead right now. I have him making this roster right now. But Greg Ward Jr. is right on his tail because he's produced the last 2 weeks really good, and I think he has an outside shot to make this right now. I have Mac Hollins. He's on the out looking in. He has to come out and have a really good game, against those guys. Now, Mac Hollins may make it because, let's face it, he's more talented. He probably has more upside. I think him being hurt and injured has played a lot in him, just being slow during preseason. But if you base it just upon the preseason games, Marquand Michel and Greg Ward Jr. have outplayed Mac Hollins. So that's all I'm basing it on, just the preseason, because I'm not there at every practice to watch every single thing that these guys do. I think Mac Hollins, I don't think the Eagles are going to just let him go, okay? I don't. But I think right now, Marquand Michel, Greg Ward Jr., and Mac Hollins, and I have Marquand Michel in the lead. I like his speed. I think the kid has upside, and I would keep him. Even if I have to keep 6 receivers, keep Mac Hollins and keep him. But it's hard to know if they'll go 6 receivers or not. So I'm just basing it on 5. And, that's basically what I'm most interested in tomorrow night. That's what I want to see the most. The 4th defensive end spot, who's going to win it, and what they're going to do with Sharif Miller. The running back position, the final running back position between Wendell Smallwood, Boston Scott, and Josh Adams. And then the final wide receiver spot between Marquand Michel, Greg Ward Jr., and Mac Hollins. And that's what I want to see tomorrow. And that's what I'll be looking for. Now, I will put a post-game video out because I'm not going to be streaming it. I'll tell you guys what I think. And then Friday night, Saturday, I'll have my 53-man roster prediction out. So it should be very interesting to see how these positions play out. And look, even when a game is boring, even when it's the last preseason game, you still can find interesting battles. And I want to know what are you looking forward to seeing tomorrow night in the final preseason game? What positions are still open for you? Let me know in the comment section, and I will definitely talk to you guys later. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Don't be a dingbat.